Welcome back to another Notebook Check Tech Review. We've got the Lenovo Thinkpad E460 here, the latest in the generation 400 series generation. Really interesting one we've got here though, because we've got this €700, €730 no OS version. I'll just take the power out of that. With a full HD matte IPS screen, so that's not often seen in devices. You'll see that's matte there. SSD inside, 8 gigs of RAM and a slot free inside. You can access that on the bottom. I'll show you that in a minute. Classic ThinkPad keyboard, not backlit though. Core i5 Skylake, and we've even got an AMD Radeon GPU inside, which is giving it a little bit of a graphics boost. So it's a really great ThinkPad. The only thing about this one is it's targeted very specifically at the education market. It comes without an OS. It comes with FreeDos installed. So the idea is that you're going to deploy this in schools or universities or offices. So unfortunately you can't get this one off the shelf, but it's going to give you an idea about the E460 range, and we can give you an idea of processor performance and that screen quality on the IPS matte screen as well. So let's have a look at the ThinkPad E460. So the ThinkPad E460 scored 85% from us in our review, which is a pretty good score. And that's probably because this is built very much around an Ultrabook style platform. We've got a U-series Skylake inside. We've got an SSD. We've got a good quality screen and keyboard as well. The only thing that's not Ultrabook about it is really the thickness and the weight. Let me just quickly take you around the ports and put some of those specifications up on the screen for you afterwards. Headset, USB 2 port there, sync and charge as well on that one, Kensington lock. And then we've got the Power Plus dock port there. We've got Gigabit Ethernet, HDMI, 2 more USB 3 ports. So nothing very special about the build. There's a full SD card slot on the front as well, so useful for transferring those pictures from your camera. And there's that IPS screen, and you can see that it scatters light pretty nicely. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. There's the access port on the underside, which will get you access to 2 memory slots and a 7mm high SATA 2.5-inch drive slot as well. But this port is really difficult to get off. Although it's only 2 or 3 screws, actually getting it out is a bit of a problem because it's actually very tightly snapped in there. But once you get it out, you get limited access to at least the RAM and the hard drive. Let's take a look at that screen then. It's a matte IPS screen, so we've got wide viewing angles and a good bit of light scattering. Full HD screen. The brightness isn't that high. That's one of the only problems with this screen. It's not a very high brightness screen. You'll see that in the specs on the screen now. We've also got some information about PWM, whether it uses PWM for brightness. Also on reaction times of the screen as well on the full review, so check that out. But just to mention that the black levels are pretty good, so the contrast at 777 is reasonable, and color accuracies aren't too bad. Deltas for color and grays well under 5. In fact, for grays 3.78 is actually quite good. Also color coverage, Adobe RGB only 37.3%. About performance then, don't forget this is a U-series CPU, so it's aiming to keep TDPs, power levels low rather than performance high, but there's a good balance of performance here that's useful for general office work and educational work as well. You'll also be able to get some HD video editing done on this, and a little bit of gaming too. So Cinebench R15 that you can see, oh sorry, that's 11.5 on the screen you can see now. The 11.5 scores, 3.23 is really not too bad. The previous model 2.83, so it's about 15% better than the previous model in Cinebench R11.5 scores. On the R11.5 OpenGL 25.39 frames per second. Just one reference point on that, Ultrabooks when they started were coming in at around 15 frames per second on that score. So that's how far we've got in 5 years. To come up to 25.39 frames a second is not bad at all. PC Mark 7 score of 4852 is pretty much the same as the E450 on Broadwell last year, so not much in terms of improvement there. Let's go to the graphics card though. Look at 3D Mark 11 score. Of course, we've got the AMD Radeon R7 M360, about 50% more graphics power than the internal onboard graphics for the Core i5 processor there. 1898 is the score on that, and you can see some comparisons there with a T450 with a GeForce 940M in it. And then down there, the ProBook 430 with the HD Graphics 520 in it. So that's the built-in graphics, and you can see that it is 51% faster. For some gaming test results, go to the full review where you'll see tests from Tomb Raider, Dirt Rally, World of Warships, all the way through to Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and you get an idea of the graphics gaming performance there. Some information on noise and temperature here. Under load, it doesn't really get too loud, and in normal use, it's very, very quiet indeed. So a maximum of 35.6 dBA, 29 at idle. Temperatures, a little bit of heat just in this top left area. Under a lot of load, you'll get up to 44, 45 degrees there, but not much to worry about really in terms of heat. There's a 47 watt hour battery inside this, so let's go through the battery life test results we got from the lab tests. Idle 12 hours 16 minutes, but surfing over Wi-Fi, that's at 150 nits screen brightness, 4 hours 52 minutes, so nearly 5 hours of Wi-Fi surfing. You can play back this film H.264 1080p for over 7 hours, but under load, that's if you're gaming or doing some video rendering perhaps, under 2 hours on the battery life. Right, some pros and cons. The build quality is quite good. There's a little bit of a burr on the edge of some of the plastics which don't fit perfectly, but that is compensated by the great keyboard. Although it's not backlit, it is very good. You've got an optional docking station option on this, and the screen, although the brightness isn't too high, has a good contrast level, good color accuracy, and a good set of viewing angles. Noise levels are pretty low, and there's a reasonable price performance value proposition here, but of course remember this is only available to educational, let's say project market from Lenovo. There's an integrated battery that you can't swap out yourself, and getting that access panel off the back is a little bit too difficult if you want to upgrade SSD and RAM. We gave it an overall score of 85%. The review was Till Schönborn on this one. Full review up on notebookcheck.com and notebookcheck.net for the English version. So remember, that's the E460 for the education market. The model number is in the notes below. 730 version. You can get entry levels of this for 450 euros. Just noticing that plastic is just not so smooth around the edges there. It's a shame, but overall a pretty good device. Ignore that screen brightness as well, which could have been a bit better, but the screen accuracy and the fact that it's IPS and matte probably counterbalances that negative point there. The ThinkPad E460. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you enjoy the series, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll give you notifications when they go up by email. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Notebook Check Tech Review.